নমস্কার। অকপটে প্রোগ্রামে আপনাদের সকলকে আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি। আজকে আমাদের অতিথি ইউনাইটেড স্টেটস অফ আমেরিকা থেকে ন্যাথানিয়েল খান এবং সুজান বেয়ার। তারা ডকুমেন্টারি ছবি অর্থাৎ তথ্যচিত্রের নির্মাতা, একজন প্রডিউসার, একজন পরিচালক। তারা দুজনে এসেছেন। এদের সঙ্গে আলাপ পরিচয় আমরা জানতে পেরেছি যে ন্যাথানিয়েল খানের পিতৃদেব হলেন বিখ্যাত স্থপতি, আর্কিটেক্ট লুইস বি খান। তিনি বিখ্যাত আমাদের কাছে বিশেষ করে ইন্ডিয়ান ইনস্টিটিউট অফ ম্যানেজমেন্ট আহমেদাবাদের ডিজাইনার হিসেবে এবং নতুন বাংলাদেশের পার্লামেন্ট এর স্থপতি হিসেবে আমরা তাকে চিনি। ওনারা যে তথ্যচিত্রটি নির্মাণ করেছেন মাই আর্কিটেক্ট নামে, সেটি লুইস খানের কাজ সম্পর্কিত, তাদের বাবার প্রতি শ্রদ্ধা জানিয়ে, বাবার প্রতি তাদের অভিজ্ঞতা জানিয়ে এবং তার কাজের পরিধি দেখিয়ে ছবিটা তৈরি করেছেন। আজ আমাদের সামনে ন্যাথানিয়েল খান এবং সুজান বেয়ার। Yes.
I hope you said nice things.
Yes, I just introduced you to.
I have no way of knowing.
No,
it sounded good though.
Well, it's, I just introduced you as the son of the great architect. What was it that really drew you to make this film about your father?
Well, I'm a filmmaker, as you are, documentary filmmaker, and so as a documentary filmmaker, you're always looking for great subjects, things you want to make films about. And this is a story that's been with me since I was a little boy. My father died when I was 11. He was a great architect, but he wasn't very much in my life. So I've always wondered, what was my father really like? What was it that drove him to build the buildings he built? What was it that drove him to come to India and come to Bangladesh? So this film is very much, I've made other films, but this is the first one that I've made that really delves deeply into my own personal story. And as such, it's a very personal journey. It really is the story of a son looking for his father, who happens to be an architect, but the main story is a son looking for his father.
Increasingly, I mean, and this is happening probably all over the documentary world, increasingly documentary cinema is becoming personal.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
Therefore, one comes up across this context or this question as how much the documentary today documents in an objective sense of the word. However, what do you see as the documentary doing in today and in the future as a personal form of expression?
Well, I think we can both answer this question. It's a great one, and I think first of all, audiences are become a little bit tired of the same old Hollywood, Bollywood fare, right? They know what to expect. Of course, we like these movies, but we also want movies that refer more to our own lives and have much more direct bearing on our own experiences. So documentaries in general, I think, have become much more embraced by general audiences, certainly in America, and now beginning to be elsewhere, I think, too. And among those documentaries, I mean, we're all familiar with the documentary that goes on the BBC or PBS about nature, the animal show, right? And we love those. But those are more sort of, I think of them as more informative. They're fascinating. You want to watch them. But they're not necessarily deeply emotional stories.
True.
Also, likewise with the Talking Head documentary, which is a subject, could be anything. Those are also very informative, but they're not necessarily deeply emotional. These new personal documentaries, which are really the stories told from the filmmaker's point of view many times, or certainly through the filmmaker's eyes, are becoming more and more fashionable. People are becoming more and more fascinated by them. And I think it's precisely because they emotionally reach out, they grab you, they don't let you go. And just like a standard feature film, a feature story film, they tell a great story. And you feel the emotional drive of these things. So.
What are the kind of films that you've made before this? If you could mention some of the subjects that you've been really dealing with.
I've made several. A number of them have been the type of documentaries we're talking about nature for PBS, which I've enjoyed very much. I've also made some short films. One of them was a film called The Room, which was a dramatic short film that won an award at the Cannes Film Festival. And then I did a lot of theater, a lot of plays as well. Okay. So, and those were stories. So, but this one sort of puts all those things together. People have talked about this film, the reviewers have talked about this film to us as being a film that really plays like a feature film. Not a documentary quite, feature quite, it's almost a hybrid. Of course it's all real, it's not made up, but at the same time it plays with the same kind of emotional intensity as a feature film you'd go see in the theaters.
Yes, so therefore documented reality definitely has a more personal slant. has a more
It
narrative.
can. It can.
It can
yes,
have
yes,
a more
yes.
narrative.
And certainly that's the type of film we're interested in
Well,
making.
this film, though, it's the structure of My Architect that makes it feel that way. It is not a talking head film. It is a journey that you go on with the filmmaker. And so it's done almost in chapters, like in a book.
Okay.
And you meet with someone, and you speak with them, and then you see them again. You move on to the next place.
It's like a biography on film, would you say?
No, I would say it's a journey around the world with the son of Louis Kahn to try and get to know who is this man who was my father. We'll go to the buildings, we'll meet the people who worked with him, and the buildings are also characters.
Absolutely.
They very much stand out as characters.
It's more like a memoir. I
It's
think.
more like a memoir.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
But it
fine.
moves like a journey, and so you don't keep going back and forth to it, cutting back and forth to different interviews. You don't see the same people. You see them once and then you move on. So it also captures a tremendous sense of the passage of time.
What do you really discover in terms of the politics your father stood for?
The politics. Oh my God! I've never been asked this question before. You see, we live in a fairly apolitical nation on a certain level. Most people are not political. We're becoming more political because of all the stuff that's happening
Yes.
in our government. But the politics my father stood for, well, he was really an artist, number one, and politics, I think, were totally secondary to him. He really believed, as I think many artists believe, that their art can change the world. So when it came to politics, I think he felt that if I can do my job really well as an architect, and I create great, as we've talked about many times, great institutions of man, whether they are libraries or art galleries or concert halls or seats of city government, like the Shangshed Bhavan in, just across the way in Dhaka.
Exactly.
These buildings will help to create a better, more healthy society.
Apart from that, I mean, if one looks at the experience that the Bangladesh Parliament, the architecture of the Bangladesh Parliament translates, it is the experience of a nation.
Absolutely.
It is
Oh,
the
absolutely.
experience of the creation
Yes.
of a nation.
Yes, very much so.
And therefore, that's what I meant when I spoke about
I understand,
politics.
and this is actually a great thing to talk about, because I mean, here we are in Bengal, right? So he very much loved Bengal. Incidentally, he loved the stories of the Bengal tigers. He loved the story of the Sundarbans. He loved the stories that came out of Calcutta.
He loved Tagore.
He loved Tagore. Tagore was his favorite poet. I mean, I think it started out as Shakespeare, but then when he read Tagore, he said, "Well, this is a little, it's better." He was a member of the Tagore Society in Philadelphia. So I think when he came here, he really felt this idea that, wow, they've asked me to design a major government building, parliament building. At that point, it was East Pakistan, right? Originally,
Yes,
when he started in
right.
1961, but then there was the war, and suddenly there was a new nation, the nation of Bangladesh. And I think he felt more than any other commission that he had, the importance that this architecture would play in making this new country a successful democracy. It really was the power of architecture laid bare, and I think we've just come from Dhaka. You see how the people love this building.
Yeah, they identify very much.
Yeah,
with
it's
that.
on the money.
Yeah,
It's on.
yes.
And as you'll see from the film, my father never made any money in his life. He actually died bankrupt. Okay, basically. But money was not what was important to him. What was important to him was his art. But we find it very ironic that he never made any money, but he's on the money, right? His building is on the money in Bangladesh, on the 50 taka note.
The 10 Tagore.
And the 10 taka.
I think that's very interesting, because I think that this is a very welcome opportunity for us to take a look at what Louis Kahn did in Dhaka.
I just want to make my last remark in reverence for the work that has been done by architects of the past. What was has always been. What is has always been. And what will be has always been.
On the day before he died, Lou toured the building and had his last dinner with Doshi and his family. It was March 16th, 1974.
For us, Lou's visit was always a very exciting moment. great anxiety as well as anticipation of learning something more and appreciation. There are very few people you will find anywhere who will talk about matter in spiritual terms. Nothingness mattered to him, silence mattered to him, the enigma of light mattered to him. So those are not normal parlance, those are not normal discourses. But these were the ones which we liked and he talked about it. And when somebody understands this, he cannot be an ordinary person.
As we come back, there is some other questions that me being a filmmaker comes to me. Is that what kind of money did it take to make this film?
Well, you know, it always takes more money than you think as a filmmaker, but it always takes much less than people think we get, right? We never get enough money to make our films.
True.
So this film cost a fraction of what a usual, you know, studio film would cost, and a fraction of what, you know, many documentaries cost. But I think we have been seeing more and more that people are willing to contribute. We raised the money for this film. My father, as I said, died, you know, basically bankrupt. I don't have family money. We went around to people and said, look, we want to do this film. We had a great deal of difficulty raising money from, you know, the usual kind of sources that one would think to go to, because they all said, it's so personal, you know, is it going to really reach people? And we said, that's why it will reach people, it's personal. But we did find some wonderful foundations in America and some individuals who helped us.
And we had in-kind.
And we had in-kind contributions,
Free
of
office
course.
space.
Office
Okay.
space, things like that. But in the end, the wonderful success of the movie, it was nominated for an Oscar. It won the Directors Guild of America Award. We're now returning to the United States on the 19th of this month, are the Emmy Awards, and we're
Okay.
nominated for 2.
Oh, very
So
good.
we have had a wonderful success from the movie, and though neither one of us, you know, had a salary when we made it, we feel we've gotten all those things back, you
As
know,
a
in
pro-
spades.
As a producer, what was it that really moved you to this subject or to the making of this film?
I met with Nathaniel and he showed me, he had filmed a couple of interviews with people, and he showed me an interview with a professor from Yale University, and I wept. It was so beautiful, just these few minutes, and he's a famous teacher and a very gifted teacher, and he obviously moved me, this professor, Vincent Scully. Then I just said, I'm in, that's it. It was so good.
In terms of sources for funds, where are the places that you really start looking for when you
For this
work?
type of film? Well, we went to foundations, as he mentioned. Mostly, there was a foundation in Baltimore and a couple of foundations in Philadelphia, where Louis Kahn was lived.
But these foundations and the whole funding procedures, as I understand it, is exclusively for American filmmakers only.
We did.
It is not open to the
Correct.
world. I mean,
Yeah.
am I right?
I'm
Some-
not sure that all of them
I
are
think
that
they must.
case. Yeah.
We did not go to foundations that give fundings outside of the United States.
Yes.
Except for one, we did get some funding from a place called the Asian Cultural
Oh, we did.
Council, which is a wonderful foundation.
The Asian?
Asian Cultural Council,
Okay.
and they were wonderful. Helped us out early. I know that they have some great exchange programs between America and many countries in Asia. So they were interested specifically because we would be shooting in India
In
and
India
Bangladesh,
and Bangladesh.
and there are absolutely
Well, the
foundations.
State Department
you know.
has exchange programs
Yeah,
with filmmakers.
That's right. That's right.
What
So there are
kind-
people being sent from here as well, working on their films.
In America.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes. American. There are
Mostly the
American
Turkish
foundations.
project.
Yes. In fact, I'm working on a project in Turkey, which puts 6 Turkish filmmakers together and 6 American filmmakers together. We each make a 10-minute film. It all gets strung together into one thing, and then we show it in America and we show it in Istanbul. That is all being funded from America, the Turkish filmmakers and the American filmmakers. So we should work out something with Bengal.
Yes, of
and
course.
America.
And I think it's also a welcome opportunity for us to take another look at the film that they've made in terms of the attitude that is translated onto film. I mean, the kind of philosophy that they're talking about for cinema, for documentary cinema.
I was looking for my own name. I was his child too, his only son. I didn't know my father very well. He never married my mother, and he never lived with us. But I can still remember every detail of the few times we were together. On this afternoon, we had a picnic. He painted with watercolors, and my mother snapped these pictures. He died when I was 11. The circumstances of his death have always fascinated me. He was bankrupt and alone, on his way back home from India. He collapsed in the downstairs men's room in Penn Station, New York. The police couldn't identify him because for some unknown reason, he crossed out the address on his passport. They took him to the city morgue, where he lay unclaimed for 3 days.
To return to our discussion, is it really hard or is it really difficult to make a personal film which is eventually about yourself? Because I take it that when you make a film about your father, you eventually, in the long run, make a film about yourself.
Yes, I mean, I have to say that I'm enjoying this discussion so much because I know you're a filmmaker. And to be able to talk to another filmmaker, we spend a lot of time talking about the architecture and all that's wonderful. But in the end, I'm a filmmaker. She's a filmmaker. You're a filmmaker. And I think that these are the issues that are fundamental to us. Yes, I had to be willing to reveal myself in the film. And interestingly enough, that would be very hard to do without making a film for me. So it was sort of the process of making the film that in a way forced me to have to come to terms with some attitudes, feelings, thoughts that I had, but was perhaps a little reticent to express or discuss until the film demanded it of me. So the film itself was saying, you have to share here, okay, if this is going to work.
Because
And,
there is an element of introspection involved.
Absolutely.
Well, also the
introspection, yeah.
collaborative nature of film. It's not an isolated, solitary endeavor. And so he had a terrific editor to work with, Sabina Kreinbuhl, and myself. And so he wasn't our father, so we could come to
Yes,
Nathaniel and
yes,
push him and say,
yes,
it's wonderful that that building is so perfect, but we want to know a little more of how you feel. Let's film the building that shows the emotion. Let's let that emotion out. And partly it's because, he's very humble. He thinks to himself, people don't care what I think. This is not what it's about. So it's a little scary to put yourself out like that.
I'd
Yeah, I
like
think
to go
that's-
back.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
I was going to add one other thing to
sure.
that, which is kind of interesting. In going around to his buildings and meeting the people who knew him, I was not only interested in the people who liked him or the buildings that I liked. I wanted to know all sides of the man, not just, this is not, as we say, a hagiography, something that is just making the guy look great. I wanted to make something that really was about the soul of the person and where he succeeded and where he'd failed, and also where his work struck me as beautiful and where it struck me as not beautiful. So all of those things are in the film. It's not just, a nice puff piece about someone.
But specifically, what was your Indian experience? I mean, if you could really briefly tell us.
That's
your
great,
Indian-
my Indian experience. I mean, I feel like it's still unfolding, you see, because we've now come back to show the film here, thanks to the U.S. Department of State and the American Center here and the American Center over in Dhaka. They brought us here. And actually, the State Department in Washington has a great program which brings artists and interesting, people who are doing interesting things in America over here, which is terrific. So our Indian experience is still unfolding. But coming here for the first time, you see, my father died on his way home from India. So as you see in the film. So India was always a place throughout my childhood, a place of mystery. It was the place, in a sense, where I lost my father. It was the place that he would talk about, obsessively. I'd get these little postcards from him. There's some in the movie. From India, these incredible pictures of this, wild place, right? And he would tell these stories about Bengal tigers. And that time in Dhaka, there were still tigers when he was building, and cobras and little villages and a scorpion on the wall. But he loved all this stuff, And he also talked about the warm-hearted people of Bengal. He was very aware that people of Bengal were very warm. He also loved his experience in Ahmedabad, where he worked with Balkrishna Doshi. The two of them were very close. And they just had a like-mindedness. So I think I mean, speaking first a little bit about my father's Indian experience, he felt that many of the things he could not achieve in America, he could achieve here, because there was an understanding of his spiritual search, his deep search, and also willingness to go along with his slow process. That people here said, he will come, you know, in time, he will come to it. Rome was not built in a day. So my own experience has been one, of course, of great joy at being so embraced by the people who knew him, people like Doshi, people over in Dhaka. So emotional to meet these people. Another one, Anat Rajay, over there, who worked with my father in Ahmedabad. But also one of, you know, just opening my eyes to a different way of living, different way of thinking. And I don't only see the problems. I mean, of course there are problems in our country, problems in your country, but I see, you know, wonderful warmth, great character people here, and we have many friends. So I want to come back.
Sure, and I'm sure we'll be happy to have you back. But before we wind up, there is a question that a lot of my younger filmmaker friends would like to ask you, and I'm doing it on their behalf, and that is, how and where does one look for funding?
Oh, it's so...
Oh, it's such a good question. You know, you're right. It's funding is very difficult, and this film took us 7 years to make. If we'd had the funding, it would have been 3 years. I mean, so literally, you look at the breakdown there. It's about 60-40. 60% of our time raising money, 40% being a filmmaker. It's frustrating. It's very, very difficult. And I do think the one thing I would say is that foundations in America are beginning to realize that through film, they can reach far broader audiences than they can through many of their other programs. They're afraid of film because films don't always get finished. But there are ways, you know, you give to filmmakers who know what they're doing, and you can put some things in place that protect you. So I would encourage, you know, people here need to start realizing the same thing if they don't already. I don't know enough about the scene. But individuals, you know, can begin to give to these films because they're going to reach the world with the stories that should be told here. I mean, you know, if a Satyajit Ray walks in your office and says, I have this wonderful film to make about a boy in Apu, don't say no. Say yes.
But also, there is a library in New York, for example, that does nothing but reference all the foundations in America. So if I was here, I would get on the internet and I would start searching for foundations that do give money to people from this part of the world. We also literally would have receptions where we would show a few film clips and pass a hat and ask individuals, you know, please give us a check.
But I think this idea of the Foundation Center in New York, definitely, Susan's exactly right. Do get online and
find out, you know, online through the Foundation Center in New York, or just searching Google, you know, foundation grants, you know, filmmakers, India.
But there are foundations in America that are giving to foreign filmmakers. So I think it would be
The film
important,
schools
you
would
know,
be a
to do
good
that.
group to
Yeah.
contact too. They might, you know, like NYU and such. They have.
We have to start a
They have
foundation,
programs.
right?
You should start one.
foundation.
Yeah,
Right,
great.
right.
Anyway, thank you very much. ধন্যবাদ। আমরা আমাদের সময় সীমার শেষ প্রান্তে এসে দাঁড়িয়েছি। ধন্যবাদ, আপনারা শুনলেন ন্যাথানিয়েল খান এবং সুজান বেয়ারের কাছ থেকে তাদের ছবি করার ব্যক্তিগত ইতিহাস এবং তাদের ব্যক্তিগত অভিজ্ঞতা, এবং তার সঙ্গে ডকুমেন্টারি ছবি করা সব দেশে এখনও কতটা সহজ হয়ে উঠতে পারেনি সেই কাহিনী। আমরা আরেকবার আপনারা সবাই মিলে আমাকে সঙ্গে নিয়ে একবার ওদের নমস্কার বলে বিদায় জানাবেন। ধন্যবাদ।
Dhanyavad.
See you.
Thank you.